Ooga booga. Ooga booga chooga chooga. What you guys might not be able to see here is a cat. Introduction today for sweet Felicia. She, like most cats, loves being shown off like this, as you can probably tell. There you go, baby. Thanks for that. Hopefully that'll instill some chillness for her. But anyway, so here we are, doing some Qigong once again today. I want to do, hi baby. Today I want to focus on releasing a bit of grief. So I'm just going to go into it with the intent of that. Grief is associated in traditional Chinese medicine with the element metal, and which is your lungs. There's a lot more to that stuff, which I'm not qualified. I'm just a dude with a cat out in the forest. But yeah, lungs, it's kind of a simple one because you can get into it with the breath, but we'll see what happens as we progress into this. But as with most things, I like to start from a calm state, so we'll get into a bit of a bounce. Shaking the hands, pumping the quads a bit. Something I find too is sometimes I'll get into a bounce where I don't really, kind of just doing it, but I'm not really feeling like an activation, or I don't know. Sometimes I just don't feel as embodied. So what could help me there is if, similar to almost the swing or a kettlebell swing where you're sort of popping the hips as you try to come up and drive something up like that. Activating the glutes in that manner for like 1 in 3 bounces, like that kind of thing. That can really help to move some stagnant chi around. And also just kind of, if your mind's going a million miles a minute, that can be a good thing to kind of just, not try to override it, but just sort of get the whole orchestra kind of going to the conductor for a little bit for a second here, So we'll shake it, shake it, shake it. Now, I like to focus on my thumb joint here, but that just depends. Sometimes going into the pinkies, really it's just whatever's comfortable. You can really try to induce the handshake, or you can just let it kind of, you can see how slow it gets. So then we'll just slow down the bounce now. So I want you to keep bouncing and just go slower and slower and slower to where you'll almost feel like your legs stop, but your body won't stop bouncing. I'm inflating here. So whatever's happening to you, hopefully something cool. So yeah, just breathe that out. Let it move if it needs to. My body just seems to love the wiggles because I wasn't letting it wiggle too much for a long time. I was like, no, you will stand in this particular posture forever. And this is all you need. And it's yeah. No. We're incredibly wiggly beings for a reason. But anyway, circling back. So for the lungs, I had a cool spontaneous lung exercise kind of come through with a friend earlier, so we'll start there. So there's if also one thing I could say too, anything that I'm doing in these videos, you can do sitting in a chair. So I'll just grab a quick one. It's nothing fancy when you're sitting in a chair. You don't have your back on the back of the chair. You're just upright like this. I mean, ideally you want your hips to be a bit above your knees, but depending on the length of time you're doing it, as long as your back isn't hurting you and stuff like that, everything else is good. Otherwise, after, you can get away with this. I'm a little bit This is maybe, it's a little bit too low for me though, you know. But anyway, so you can do any of this Qigong stuff like that, sitting in a chair. If you're not really feeling super up for it, to affect the bounce with that, you just shake the hands, and you can also kind of like pump the toes up to just, you know, do some of that. But anyway, so this one I think is in the 8 brocades, called like the beaver wags his butt, or not the beaver, the bear wags his butt. But essentially, so you can do that from the sitting posture, and you don't need to have it be as bent over as I'm doing. So I'm going to start from a pretty basic looking, or a very upright position, and then I'm just going to let it kind of get into what else it can kind of look like, and you'll have your own shapes and stuff that you adopt as you incorporate this. So I'm going to go kind of as sideways as I can here. I'm going to try to tuck the back of my shirt in here just so you can see the line of my spine. For some reason that seems important, just to show that it's not about, you know. But anyway, so I'm here, and now I'm pressing through my lats and my arms a bit into the thighs. And so what I'm looking for here, just a simple kind of awareness and activation of my rib cage. And then as I weave like this, the leg presses into the hand changes. And so that helps to, by way of flexion and movement, illuminate the rib cage for me in my mind. Maybe that's why the Qi gets me to do it. I don't know. It is infinitely wise in its depth. But anyway, so starting there, we'll take a deep breath in, and we'll kind of intend to just drop the belly a bit and extend through the chest here, and you're lifting and also kind of pushing a bit here. And let it out. So what we're really washing here, keep breathing like that, is the front top third of your lungs here. So next, I'm going to bend a little bit more forward, but you don't need to. You can still achieve the same thing just by leaning back a bit more and letting the arms down a bit more. Essentially, you're just kind of, sort of, not quite rounding and slouching, but you're just letting the shoulders get deeper and kind of pulling it down as though your hands are, you know, being pulled down your meridians down the center here. And there's kind of a traction, like you're pulling. So anyway, so as that's going on, you can start to open up the upper back with that same inhale and drive the head back. And as you exhale, just intend that you're letting all that back into the earth. I learned this from Mr. Adam Chan's channel, but if the Qi, and it's happening with me right now, the Qi will, as you inhale, come in through the back of the chest and lungs and come out the front of the chest. So as you're doing this, you can intend that. You can try to feel it, or you can just sort of feel the breath as it expands the back, expands the rib cage, comes out the mouth. Always breathing up from the lower belly. If you cough or start to feel stuff like that coming up, that is okay. So now we're going to kind of mix the two. And here's where it gets spontaneous. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, initially when I was doing this before with my friend, we were sitting on chairs. So it works both ways. So, but this way, what I'm doing is I'm filling up from the bottom and sort of just letting the rib cage expand outward as it will. Trying to let the lungs I wouldn't say do all the work, but I'm trying to, you'll see. As you come in, lift the legs, and it'll start to bring up the rib cage here. You don't even really need to have the hands touching. I kind of like it as like a point of reference. And it helps me to keep my shoulders kind of positioned. Because if I lift them out here, then I'm kind of turning some stuff on here, you know. But if they're just resting here, oh, I can just drop another ½ centimeter through the back here, right? You'll find your own little tips and tricks that work too. Currently doing a good old Felicia affectionate posture here, what I'll call the cat's meow. So you can work through the hips here, taking those big breaths, feeling them inflate in behind the heart, up through the clavicles. If at any point you start to feel lightheaded, you can stop the movement, come up if you're already down a bit, or conversely, you can just let it hang, relax, let everything drop through the feet into the earth. Maybe we should just do that now. That's quite a bit of movement there. So for the next part, for the lungs, we'll do a little bit of a dynamic one to sort of get stuff shaking it up. If you're looking for lung stuff that might help with a cold or with allergy stuff, I never really had allergies before, so I can't really say stuff, but my one buddy has had tons of lung issues. He's been a big Qigong guy most of his life. That's David Donnelly's videos I linked in one of the other videos. He's pretty much good now. He doesn't really have those kinds of issues. So this stuff over time will just bulletproof you to your environment. But anyway, so this one, I don't really even know what to call it. The Turny McWherney, we'll call it. So basically, similar to the swing where there's a double bounce, you're kind of coming up, releasing down, and then it transitions over and coming up. And you don't have to slap, you can throw. This is just a really nice exercise for releasing tension from the shoulders, from the arms in general, and also allowing for, like, as you can see, getting a lot of torso rotation on this. So what we're kind of doing here, this is one of the first movements I learned actually, is so you see from the back, I'm hitting around the kidney area. And so there's a few ways you can do this. You never really want to hammer on your kidneys, unless you're a crazy golden bell person. But ideally, yeah, you don't want to hurt them too much. Just like your other organs, they're important. Your rib cage protects your lungs and heart pretty good, so you can, you know, pretty strong. But located right in this kind of crease right here between the pec and the deltoid is the lung meridian. So what we're doing right here, we're stimulating both of these meridians. So if you're processing grief, sadness, loss, you know, junk like that, it's not junk, but yeah, heavy energies like that. In traditional Chinese medicine, again, I'm not a doctor, but they talk about those kidneys as fear, and that's also the water element. And these two follow each other. Water helps generate, because grief generates fear if you kind of get right down to it, right? But anyway, so what we're doing here is we're helping out kind of, one could say, two sides of the grief coin, or two parts of that energetic process. Something that you can try with this too is you can, as your hand comes in to the front and the back, you can sort of your body into meeting the blows. That can be a bit advanced if you're just turning this out. So if you're otherwise, the best advice I can give you is just relax the arms and let the momentum go. You'll see kids do this all the time. They'll just swing their arms around. So we'll just take a break here. I can feel my kidneys tingling a little bit. I don't know about anybody else. But that's, well, yeah. So what I feel compelled to do is just we'll take our hands, we'll bend down a bit. You don't have to bend over too much. I'm going to bend over more, but you can just squat down. Whatever feels good. I'm going to reach into the earth. Feel down until I feel my kidneys connect with the water. And just let that process come out. As you come up, you can just intend that you're bringing energy up through your feet, into your lower dantian, and through the hands, into the lower dantian. Ooh. Back down. So next, we'll do a more targeted, just a nice kind of cat scritchy rub here. Oh, man. It's like, I don't know, some of the saddest moments in my life, I got a little scritchy scratch, you know. And it can be really helpful. So yeah, even if you're fucking faking it to yourself, eventually you'll break through. You'd be surprised. So as you're scritchy scratching, I know you feel it on your skin, but I want you to start to imagine that your fingers are going deeper in, and now you're massaging into the ribs, but we're just going to jump straight into the lungs. And if you can't feel anything, that's okay. If the feeling starts to weird you out, do what you got to do, stop. So right now I feel like I'm just sort of petting my lungs down along the front side. So now I've transitioned to massaging just intentionally the back side of them, because really I'm not touching them from my skin, so what does it matter what side I'm touching from the front with this motion, right? Ooh, I don't know if you guys can hear the hounds. Oh wow. I really hope you guys can hear that. But anyway, so we'll do these lung things. We're just like, you know, you're stroking a nice sourdough loaf, you know, it's just, you're just nice, you know, just being nice. Those little alveoli, man. Oh, these wings of life inside of us that flutter around our heart, man, they put in so much. They seem to like that. Well, anyway, so from here, we'll slow down. And if your hands are, if it's not feeling good here anymore, to keep the hands there. Once you build up enough of a charge there, it can work just as good if you keep doing this down here. You can reconnect it, and that synchronization will still go really well. The hands are a great tool to use for that. I also learned that from Adam Chan's tips and tricks. So, from here, going to put our awareness now deep into the ground. And as deep as is comfortable for you. When I say deep, there's not a number value attached to it, you know. It's just an equal of balanced amount of up and down. Feel the awareness drop in. And just take a breath from there. Letting the body move as it wants to. Now we can direct this energy a little bit in a way to wash the lungs. So in the same way that as you breathe, the lungs are getting washed in their own kind of way. This energy from the earth and the energy from heaven can come in, much like we were talking about earlier, to the lower center, can come into the lungs directly as well. Now that's something you can try. I'm going to go from the lower dantian, intending the energy comes in there, and then up to the lungs. So I'm just going to adopt this kind of position, hands like this or further up. For me, I always find really help open up the chest and the lungs, but that's not always the best move. Sometimes this is a really nice one too. Usually I'll start up here and I'll end down here. But anyway, we'll put the hands up a little bit, whatever's comfy for you. If you're just right here, that's just fine. Again, it's more about the intention. So from here, I'm going to take the hands and just extend them. So you can have your arms down here, but we want to have just an opening sensation, both in the armpit, at the back and front of the shoulder, like you're draping your arms over something nice and squishy. Like you're in the center of a ring of jello. Bloop. Something like that. So now your hands and your feet are both connected to that deep place in the earth. So as you breathe in, feel the energy come down through your spine, up through your feet. And as you exhale, feel it go out your hands, back into the earth, back up through your head into the sky. So you're kind of washing in this kind of motion. If it helps you, you can move the hands. I'm going to breathe loud, just because I want to right now, and also to show the in and out. And you can get really slow with movements like this too. Sometimes, like for me, sometimes it wants to just remain in a particular spot of the movement. And then if I'm in a public class or trying to do something, it's like, you're like, oh man, that was a great spot. Like if only I could have just spent some time there, you know? Well, you can now. If at any point you feel like something's coming up and you gotta do your own thing, do it. I didn't get enough of being told that. I got just enough of being told that in most of my healing journey, but be thine own doctor, as Sherlock Holmes would say. But all right. So now that some of that washing has been achieved, if you're feeling good, then that's good. I'm feeling much better. There are kind of deeper things to go into with that sort of grief business, but today that's where it feels like we're going to leave it. So, yes, good closeout from here. So now that we've worked on the lungs, are especially, they'll help you to go up and out and deep pretty far. So what we'll do right now is take a big breath in and then exhale, and just don't force yourself to crimp up and get small, but just kind of just, get a little bit of scrunch, a little bit of scrunchy going. Slow exhale, and then a big inhale. reach out. Maybe not as far, maybe just as far. And another exhale. Big scrunchy exhale. And if your scrunchie looks more like this, that's cool too, man. Dude or dudette, that's good. Another one in and back down. So when we're opened up a lot and grieving a lot, it can be mindful just to maintain that connection to heaven and to earth. That's what helps me out the best, especially grounding for me. You'll find naturally you're better at one or the other. But going horizontal is usually where the energy drains. So if you have a good containment, nice solid line up and down, roots and branches, then there's lots of shade in your area. Positive shade, you know. But anyway, may that be helpful to you. And a good day.